Welcome, everyone, to this session of Authors in Conversation. And I'm really proud to be bringing you an amazing guy called Baz Porter. Now, among other things, Baz has a fabulous podcast that I know he'll be telling you about. And I love how he introduces guests on his podcast because he says, I'm going to hand it over to you to tell the listeners what you do. So, Baz, I'm following your lead. And I'd love you to just tell us about yourself and your involvement in writing books as well.
Sure. And before I carry on, thank you, Jane, for being here and inviting me to this impactful show. It's a privilege to be here with you today. So, as Jane said, I'm Baz Porter. I'm a life and business strategist. Basically, what that means is I help up-level people's lives in their life and also business. I create million-dollar companies and improve the impact and legacy within your future and your family's future. That isn't, in short, what I do. How I got there was a different story, though. And the podcast, Rise from the Ashes, is about people's stories. And it's about you sharing your impactful message in an integrous way where you can feel safe, you can feel loved, and also you feel at home. I looked at many different avenues of podcasts and what they were standing for. Most of them are self-serving to the host. And that is not something that I wanted to bring to my podcast. And I wanted it to be a safe haven to share some vulnerable pieces of people's lives. And before that came my book, Using Trauma to Thrive, which I'll go into in a minute. That's a bit about what I do and how I transform other people's lives.
I love it. Tell us more, Baz, about that question of transformation, because it is possible, is the thing. And you're someone who ushers people through that journey. So if we could get a little bit more information about that, it'd be fabulous.
Sure, happy to. Basically, I was a veteran. After that, I went into addiction and became a DJ in Cyprus. Being the DJ life, I was drinking a lot, doing a lot of partying and a lot of drugs. Now, I didn't know what it was doing at the time, but it was leading to massive addiction. When I finally stopped DJing after about 7 years, I ended up coming back to the UK, where the relationship I was in and why I came back to the UK was ultimately doomed for failure because I stopped drinking and the addictions were very present. It ultimately led for me to being homeless for about 12 years and continuing in this addiction cycle. I then had an epiphany, spiritual awakening, come to Jesus moment, call it what you will. I had, after many suicide attempts, ups and downs on that roller coaster, had to make a decision whether to continue being alive or unalive myself. And I continued to be alive. And from that moment, I made a commitment, not just to myself, but to other people and to the world, that I would help rectify some of the wrongs that I had caused in my drunken state and addiction state. And I vowed I would help change people's lives. From that, I started to travel. I saved enough up to have $360 in my back pocket. I then got a plane, one-way ticket to New York. I left in 2019 with a one-way ticket. I traveled 33 states throughout the US. Ended up coming to Australia after meeting my then girlfriend in the last state. Traveled Australia, helping people. Same sort of thing, just on donations. My then girlfriend flew me back to the States to explore what the relationship was. Her name was Nicola. And from there, the relationship deepened, where in the end of September of 2019, we got married. Completely off the cuff. It wasn't planned. I was traveling with just a passport. I had no other documentation with me. So we ended up getting married. From there, I built a business, coaching business, a speaking business, which then got leveled up many times over, helping people just transform their lives, listening to them, and then transforming into what we call a university of education now, where it's behavioral sciences, proven holistic approaches to health, business coaching, lifestyle coaching, you name it, it's all umbrella of all one place. But it's been formed over about 25 years of experience, coming from addiction, recovering from all that alcoholism, homelessness, making a decision to impact other people's lives. But it all comes from my own experiences doing just what I'm teaching in my own life. So it's not just study from a textbook, or it's not just picked up from a workshop that I've been to. It's fractional implementation of strategic steps that just work. And then on top of that, I've gone to study with some of the best people in the world. People like Tony Robbins, pleased to be a platinum partner, not active. Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, the late Bob Proctor, John Maxwell, you name it, I've been in front of them. And I've studied and learned their methods, which have enhanced what I'm doing today. So I've just leveled up, and at the end of this week, coming into next week, I release my second book, which I'm a co-author in, and it's endorsed by Tony Robbins himself, along with Brian Tracy, which is called Cracking the Rich Code.
Oh, nice. And look, just to share with people, in a conversation that Baz and I had before I started recording this, the amount of help he gave me with a problem I'm having in, would it have been 3 minutes, 4 minutes, Baz?
Yeah, about 3 minutes.
And a massive penny dropped for me, more than that, but also a person who cared enough to not be focused on what he's going to say about himself and, performing per se, but who cared more about what I was dealing with. And this is the key to why you're successful, I suppose, I want to say, Baz, because, of course, you've been through so much that you understand, we all in our own way understand the human condition. You in particular had a very broad experience and have come out the other end and doing the great work that you're doing. And to get back down into a lot of my people watching are people who want to write books, or they've had a calling to write a book. What role did your book play, A, in getting you to where you are more generally as a person, but B, in relation to your business in particular?
The concept of writing books and getting rich and famous is no longer a concept. And if you are, in my experience, my humble experience, if you're doing that to get rich and famous, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I wrote the book to inspire a message, and the first book, Using Trauma to Thrive, was about my journey through the awakening and the impact that it had in my life. Now, it doesn't matter what religion you are, what you believe in, there is a higher power, and there is an energy behind that that undeniably, whether you're an atheist, even when you're an atheist, you trust something above what you can physically, cognitively understand or know. And the first volume of this was originally about understanding yourself and trusting your own journey. And then it had some lessons of self-help, how to overcome PTSD, and really face that in your own life. But it wasn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It wasn't to get famous. It was there just as a calling card and substance for myself to compile a piece of work to share. That's all it was. And success is defined by the person. And unfortunately, with the social media element, right or wrong, being a certain status online has taken impact and precedent over one's definement of success. For me, success is I'm healthy. I woke up this morning. I love being here, and I love serving others. And also I love impacting other people's lives to leave that potential legacy for them. That's my success. It's not finance. It's not what car I have. I live very humbly, and I've learned that from my own experiences, because I had everything once, I lost it all, and now I'm rebuilding, and that's the circle of life. But once you realize success is defined by you, and the messages in books are forever, then you can really define what it is you want to put into a work not just a work of writing, but a work of art for you. And define it as you wish and make a goal for yourself. Because the book you're writing now, or the book you're about to produce, isn't just for the next 10 years. People are finding books now from 2,000 years ago. The question you've got to ask yourself is that one of them books they're finding 2,000 years in the future going to be yours, or will it just disappear?
Nice. And what about the book you're in the process of writing now, Baz? Tell us a
Hmm.
little bit more about that.
The book I'm in process of writing now is called Rise from the Ashes, and it's in conjunction with a podcast, obviously Rise from the Ashes, etc., Phoenix theme. And it is an overview and a more in-depth view of the journey to become yourself and your fullest potential. And I think we can all relate when you say we've had a rise from the ashes moment, whether you're a parent, a single parent, whether you're a divorcee, whether you're a widow, whether you're an entrepreneur starting a business and you failed 7 times at business or something's collapsed, whatever. We've always had one of these rise from the ashes moments. And that makes everybody listening to this connected. And the book that I'm currently working on is about these rise from the ashes moments and what we take away from them. Instead of making it a disempowerment, how do we make it an empowerment and a learning lesson, contributing to define success and that next level for us? Instead of going, it's happening to me, rise from the ashes is about it's happening for me, what can I learn next? So it's a whole dynamic shift and a whole lifestyle shift if you wish to create it in that respect. It's not just a book. I want it to be an educational piece for others to learn from.
I love that. Now, do you have any tips for the would-be author? What would you be suggesting to them is a good way to start, and what kept you motivated?
Patience is a nice way to start with yourself, and don't do it for, as I said earlier, to get rich, famous. That doesn't bring happiness or peace with you. In fact, it brings quite the opposite. That's a different story. The writing of a book is an art, but you've got to make it something that's worthwhile to yourself. So pick a chapter as a goal and really put your heart and soul into that chapter. The other thing I got taught, and I've actually done this, I know it works better for me, may not for the person receiving this, but I start at the end. I start from where the end chapter and work backwards. So I envision myself my current book, I envision myself, I think, 5 years into the future and what my life was going to look like, what I'll be doing, who I'll be serving. And I work back from that. And what I found was it was easier for me to pick out the lessons and portray the message working backwards and trying to work from back where I was into present day and going forward. So have a vision for yourself and also keep that vision chapter by chapter. Remind people why they're reading. Remind them, why they started. It's about getting not just in your message across, but in other people's hearts and heads to win their trust. If you look at all the great authors in the world, J.R. Tolkien, for one of them, these works took years. And if you want to write a book in a month or 12 months, think again. Some of these pieces of art took decades to write, and they've been transformed into the movies and the legacies they are today. So don't think about now. Work backwards from the result of what you want, but work in the impression of yourself that's going to make a bigger impact for others. That would be my advice if you're just starting out writing today.
Thank you, Baz. That was fantastic and a slightly different perspective on things for people. I love it. Now, I see we've got your email address there behind you, or your web.
That's my website, and you can also find me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, excellent. So, Baz, thank you. Congratulations on the first book, and there's more than one book coming, but certainly Rising from the Ashes. I'm looking forward to that. When will it be launched, do you think?
I'm hoping about October to November time, just in time for Christmas.
Excellent.